Hi, everybody. It's Kira, the teen librarian at Rawlings, and here for my weekly book talk. I want to apologize off the bat for I might not be as enthusiastic as I usually try and be. It's a tough day for me. My first fur baby cat had to cross the Rainbow Bridge this morning, and she was back east, but my mom is an angel, and so took care of it and whispered to her the whole time, and how much we love her. But it's a pretty tough loss for me, so I'm not feeling great today. But this is a very good book that I'm introducing, so I'm going to try to let you know how good it is and encourage you to check it out at least. That was not meant to be a pun. So today's book is also in honor of Asian American Pacific Islanders. I'll Be the One by Layla Lee. So I'll Be the One is about Sky Shin. She's a Korean American teenager. She lives in Orange County, California. She's always had big dreams, despite the fact that people constantly tell her, either through the media or to her face or through barely concealed whispers, that she's too fat for her dreams. Worse than the bullying and the eye rolls in school and in dance classes, where she's pretty much been the best dancer, is that for her whole life, the worst and most consistent person telling her that she's too fat is her mother. However, at this point in her life as a teenager, she has learned that whatever these people are saying is unimportant. She's learned to love and accept for herself and her body. But in years past, Sky has tried everything her mother has told her to do to try and lose weight, and none of it has ever worked. Her body is her body, and she's accepted that and come to love it and see it as beautiful. But it's tough having a mom like that. And but she has, at the time we meet her, she's in a much healthier space herself, though she's still struggling with it, and she loves to sing and dance, and she feels free when she does it. Which is why, here's her big dream. She has entered into the You're My Shining Star competition, which is a television show that will select one singer and one dancer to go to Korea to be part of, to train to be part of the explosion of K-pop's international popularity, right? Not surprisingly, she doesn't even tell her mother that she's auditioning for this because she knows what her mother's response will be. But she gets through the initial audition. And so, she's got to go to the next one, which is the first one that will probably be televised. And she lives in Orange County, not LA. So there's the question of how she's going to get there. But her dad actually spends like 2 weeks at a time for his job further north in California, and then he comes home and spends the weekend. And her dad is a much more positive influence on her life. She tells him like all the stories when she's in the competition, and he's really supportive and proud of her. So he's home that weekend, so he gives her a ride and he signs the paperwork. because her mother doesn't even know. And so not only is she, auditioning for this big show, right? She's entering both categories, singer and dancer, which I'm pretty sure no one else does. Now, she does have the support of two very good friends from school, which is important, given that her relationship with her mother is almost non-existent. So while Skye knows that she's a great singer and she's a great dancer, she runs into fat phobia pretty much immediately. She goes into the door and she's got to hand in her paperwork and be told where to go, to sing and then to dance, or to dance and then to sing. And the woman who's handling the paperwork, she's not only sort of stunned and disbelieving, like looking at Skye, but she's pretty rude. And it's not a great introduction to this, right? But she gets in the right line, and she does her auditions, and they go totally amazingly well. She just knocks the socks off these things. And 2 out of the 3 judges are blown away. And there's one judge who's clearly blinded by this sort of cultural power of fat phobia in the entertainment industry in particular. This is somebody in the industry, and lets Skye know it, that she doesn't really belong in the K-pop world. And she makes, not only the judges make these assumptions about her work ethic based on her body type, which is rubbish, and she's just, she's pissed off by that. And one judge in particular doesn't vote to send her through, but she's got the other 2 who think she's amazing, so she gets through. But also, what's great about this day is that she meets Lana and Tiffany, who are a ridiculously cute Korean-American lesbian couple. Lana is in the singing competition and Tiffany is in the dancing competition. And essentially, Skye and Lana are fast friends. Like, immediately they're friends. And it takes a little while longer, but she also becomes close friends with Tiffany. And it's a big deal because Skye has never met an LGBTQ Korean American teenager. It's just, its culture is not open. She herself is bisexual, but she's closeted. She would never tell her family for fear of their reaction. And she does find out later that Lana and Tiffany were both kicked out, but they're doing okay. They live together. They're in college, and they're really happy. And so it's a great sort of new friendship for her. And, they start texting, and Lana starts giving her rides because, her dad isn't, when she gets in, she has to practice, like they have practices, and for singing, it's every 2 weeks, and for dancing, it's every 2 weeks. But because she's in both, it's every weekend she has to go up to LA. So she's able to get rides, and it's working out. So the book basically follows Skye's progression through this competition and all the challenges that she has to face, not just as a participant in this intense competition where they give them sort of challenges like, okay, now you have to work with a group, now you have to work with one person. And, she makes other friends, but she also meets some haters that are basically just haters because of her body type. And she has to deal with that. It's just a deal, she ends up having to tell her mother And her mother wants her to drop out because it's going to be televised all over the world, and her Korean family is going to see. And that's just a horrible thing, for Sky to hear. She doesn't feel like her mother's proud of her at all. She feels like she's ashamed of her, despite the fact that she's, accomplishing this great thing. She keeps moving on in the rounds because she's amazing. The other thing that develops throughout the book is her emerging relationship with Henry Cho. Henry Cho is a celebrity. He's a fashion model, and he's also from a very famous family in Korea. And the first impressions of Henry are very different. And so as their relationship sort of develops, first, Sky is made to deal with a lot of horrible things when she shows up on his social media, because he has so many followers. He's like a famous, really hot guy. And so he has I don't even know how many, just way too many to imagine, followers on Instagram. And so she has to deal with, when that first happens, these really cruel and horrible comments. But as the relationship develops, you get, the author sort of builds out Henry's character. But Henry's character is also revealed as he starts to sort of make himself more vulnerable to Sky and for the reader to see him. Because when she first meets him, she never sees him actually smile. There's the smile he puts on in public. The paparazzi's following him. He's got, his PR manager and a bodyguard with him at all times. And, he will always smile, for cameras and all that stuff. But it's a fake smile. And it's a long time before Sky sees his real smile. And that relationship and that romance is charming and compelling, and it's really lovely. And it also addresses some of the other issues that the book raises. So I definitely recommend this book. It's a beautiful, honest engagement with body positivity and the work our culture has yet to do on this front. As well as the perils of heterosexism that persist for young people. We are a much more open society here in the US than we were even when I was a teenager. We were starting to get there when I was a teenager, but it's so much better than that now. But still, the dangers that face people, especially if you're in high school, and not just in high school, but as a young person, we have a ways to go, and so that's the serious part. But it's also it's really a fun read, and Sky is a fun character that you're rooting for, and you love Henry the more you get to know him, and it's a really fun book that's addressing some really serious cultural issues at the same time, from a character who's dealing with them herself. So I love the cover, by the way, because she's dancing. And yeah, it's definitely worth trying out, because it's a fun book and it addresses an issue that is getting more and more attention, but our culture is like seriously screwed up when it comes to body positivity. I mean, the rise of body positivity is great, but we're nowhere near where we should be on that front. And yeah, anyway, fun book, great book, directly, addressing body positivity and the difficulty of embracing it fully when someone who is supposed to be the person who loves you more than anything, your mom, is basically emotionally abusive to you. And we find things out about her mom too that provide some explanation without excuse on that. And her father does try and work on her mom, but the mother's not a flat character in that sense. But yeah. Anyway, so that's my intro to I'll Be the One, and I recommend you have a look at it. I'm going to check it into the library right after I finish this. I would probably be cheering more if I didn't have to say goodbye to my first. I mean, I grew up with cats, but Emma was my first. It was my first. And it's really hard. So take care of yourselves, okay? And so there's a program. We're gonna hang out. Come hang out. Make me laugh. I need somebody to make me giggle. Off topic of loss or my loss, I just want to acknowledge once again this year has been tremendously challenging for everyone, including mine. It's been really hard fighting the stress, the loneliness, the isolation. And if you've been feeling that, don't hide it. The best way to deal with it is to talk about it. I'm lucky to have a best friend who is my mom and who I talk to about it every day. But not everybody has a mom like mine. So don't kid yourself, you're not alone. And if you don't feel like you have somebody to talk to, call the line scrolling across the bottom here, okay? You're not alone. Okay, have a great weekend. I hope to see some people at 5:30, Turtle Park. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.